Hi everyone, my name is Leanne Pham.
My name is Layla Lee Hassan.
I'm Tatiana Shlapom.
I'm Mike Tepp, and our client is the City of Anaheim. So the City of Anaheim is responsible for disseminating news and general information to its residents. Now, if you look at this table, which breaks down the key demographic of Anaheim, you can see that the Hispanic community has the the highest population percentage, which will be an important component of our campaign. So in order to successfully carry out our campaign, we had to get to know our client better, learn more things about them, and since they are a municipal governmental body, the framework that would best fit them would be the structural framework, which means that the organization has a hierarchy, strict rules and procedures, a strong bureaucratic authority, and little opportunity of variance for how things get done. As for the theory, we chose a classical theory due to the way they carry out their communication, which is productive, precise, and efficient. Anaheim is a historical city with a modern approach, and even though the residents see our client as an authoritative figure because they are a governmental body, our client has expressed to us that they wanted to be seen as an equal when they disseminate that communication. So now, Tatiana will talk more about their communication tools and platforms.
So here is Andy Anaheim, the mascot for the City of Anaheim, and he's showing us all the different platforms that our client uses to disseminate the news. Like Mai said, they do use a more modern approach, which is why there's all those social media from Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and their 24-hour TV channel. And then they use print publication, which is more of a traditional approach, and they have their own magazine, which is released every quarter, and their e-newsletter, and they also publish a lot of their content through third-party organizations like the OC Register, LA Times, and OC Weekly. So for our client during consultation, he just kind of mentioned what the top priority ways of executing communication, and that's the Anaheim Magazine. Like I said, it's released every quarter, and they put a lot of effort and a lot of money into it, and it's really high quality, and they do a really good job by reaching 46% of residents by putting it out to 160,000 homes and businesses, so that's really cool. And then in that magazine, they provide a lot of information which they believe the residents need. They have a bunch of articles talking about major city news, whether it's expansions of city parks or different things that they're providing for their residents. And then they do community updates, just new renovations for libraries, just as an example, different services like public utilities, what they offer for the residents, calendar events, just every quarter they just highlight for the next 3 months what's going to be happening in Anaheim. Just information that they know that the residents want to know about. And then for Facebook, that's another platform that our client expressed that they focus a lot of effort in. And in the beginning of the campaign, they had a total of 6,710 followers with a rating of 2.9, which they expressed that they wanted to increase. The general demographic for their Facebook is 58% female, 41% male. The age range is from 25 to 44, which is 58% of the followers, and just kind of more like family-oriented age. Just there, we see a lot of people want feedback about family events, which is something that we kept in mind. The default languages that we saw the demographic have is English and Spanish, so now we know just a general idea of like who our demographics are for Facebook. For Instagram, in the beginning of the campaign, they had a total of 1,083 followers, so that's something that they wanted to have us like also increase. I'm gonna pass it on to Leanne to talk more about our role with all their platforms, and so go ahead.
Thank you. So at the beginning of the semester, we had a consultation at the City of Anaheim. We met with their Chief Communications Officer, Mike Lister, and their Public Information Specialist, Aaron Ryan. At their consultation, they did express to us that their general goal was really just to have a communications audit. They want to know if what they're doing is right, if people are receiving it well. If they're not receiving it well, what are they doing wrong? What can they do to fix it? So in our campaign, we were focused on two main objectives. The first one was a magazine survey of Anaheim Magazine. And with that, we decided we were on a time restraint because the semester is fairly short. We decided to survey 100 Anaheim residents. We figured that was a very achievable goal because of our time restriction, but as well as providing them a decent number and good analytics for their magazine. We decided to target the age range 35 to 60 plus because we do realize that younger people, millennials to be more specific, they tend to gravitate more towards traditional methods modern methods, to consume their news, and then older generations, they are more susceptible to consuming news through the traditional methods. And then what we decided for this survey, we did go out in Anaheim. We're walking around speaking to people face to face. We wanted to be a lot more conversational so they would be more inclined to speak with us. And then with that, we decided to have a physical stimulation, which how we carried that out was we would carry an actual physical copy of Anaheim Magazine because a lot of times they might not recognize the title Anaheim Magazine, but if they see it in front of them, they'll recognize this is something that they got in the mail before, and then they'll be able to answer our questions. So with our survey, we wanted to structure it very simple. We didn't want to speak with anyone for too long. The introductory question, simply put, do you receive Anaheim Magazine? And then from there, if they answer yes, we have one path to take. If they answer no, we have another. So really, it's just dependent on person to person which route we would take. And then so our results were very positive, really great news for the client. About, was it 59 people, so that's roughly 60% of the people that we interviewed do know that they receive it. And then out of those 59 people, 43 people actually read it. So it's really good because a majority of the people that we talk to, they know they receive it and they read it. And then there was a smaller amount of number that expressed to us that they don't receive it. And then here's just a couple of quotes for you guys. A lot of people really express how they like how it's high quality, and then the one thing everybody loves is the inclusion of events. People generally really like to know about things they can do, or what the city is offering them. So on top of that, because in the consultation our client expressed to us that the Hispanic community is the largest portion of their population, they want to figure out ways to get in contact with them more. We were able to speak, 25% of our survey pool were targeted towards the Hispanic community. Layla actually is fluent in Spanish, so she was able to go out to the Hispanic grocery stores, just kind of the areas that they tend to congregate a little more, and speak with them in Spanish. And what we learned was that they aren't aware of the magazine, and because they aren't aware of the magazine, they aren't aware that the city of Anaheim actually goes to great lengths to translate the magazine to Spanish for them as a digital copy. So that's really good feedback that we got from the Hispanic community, but overall, generally very positive feedback about the magazine. And then next, Layla is gonna talk about our social media survey.
Thank you, Leanne. So the team focused on gaining feedback from the public in regards to their awareness and engagement to the client's social media accounts. So we took the same strategy that we did with the magazine on surveying the participants and took it to social media and used the same tactic to see what they knew about. Within 2 weeks, with such a time restraint, we were able to successfully survey 30 participants on the demographic and age was around 20 in the 20s through 60s. We decided to include younger demographics since the millennial demographic are active users on social media, and also target the older demographics because most importantly they don't use social media, so we really wanted to see if they were actually using social media and if they knew about City of Anaheim's social media platforms. So we also did a conversational way of surveying the participants. We asked them if they use social media, we asked if they follow the City of Anaheim's platforms, and if they didn't, we would ask how they would get their news And if they were to if they wanted to follow the City of Anaheim, we asked what they would like to know about the City of Anaheim. So for the next slide that we see here, we did, so we got the analysis and we came out with the results that out of the 30, 40 don't use social media, 23 use social media but do not follow any of the social media platforms, and 3 know about it and do follow social media platforms. So their recommendations were they would like to see more improvements in the city to gain like a follow so they could be more engaged. Events that are friendly and free and entertaining for the family would be beneficial as well, they said. And they would also like to see more political posts, something where they could all engage as a community, and they would be really interested to see something that attracts them more on social media for the platform. So the face-to-face interview method wasn't as effective when auditing the client's communication on social media, and that's because due to their 6,000 followers on Facebook and 1,000 followers on Instagram, we were only able to target 2.2% of the population. This affected the survey because there's a high percentage that still needs to be surveyed and gathered and to get more valuable feedback. So now Tatiana will go ahead and talk about the social media aspect of the campaign.
So for Facebook, we wanted to create a lot of content that's interesting, just new, different from anything like political or talking about improvements or anything. So we wanted to provide them with like historical content that just makes them more engaged with what our client has to offer. And with that, we wanted to see more followers and a higher number of rating because they only had 2.9, and we wanted to boost that up. We were able to create 9 posts, and you know how we talked about the structure being like it's very bureaucratic, so we kind of had to get their approval, so we were limited to only doing 9 posts within the span of 8 weeks. But that we still essentially were pretty successful. And then for Instagram, we wanted to just do more aesthetically pleasing photos, just to kind of step aside again from having it be anything political or anything in that sense authoritative. And so prior to launching the Anaheim Fact Friday, we had our client express that they wanted to change the name to Anaheim Fun Facts, just to kind of not restrict the days to Friday and to make it seem more exciting for the readers or the public. And then I'll have Leanne talk more about the Instagram later, but for now, we were pretty successful with all our posts. We saw really great reactions from the followers. Our first post, for example, we did have a historical content, but we found a way to link it to an event that's happening at the moment, so it's more time sensitive. They have a tradition of doing Anaheim Fall Festival, and so we found this really cool photo and just linked it to something and being like, having them initiate some type of action and be involved. So we wanted to inform them of this event. I think that's what they really liked about it and why it received such high, also a lot of shares. I think that another reason why it received a lot of shares was because we linked it to other Facebook pages that are not just City of Anaheim, so more people were inclined to share it with their followers. Here's another example, just another event that's happening in the city at their museum. Throughout we saw a lot of positive feedback from the followers, and they commented, for instance, this one, she loved it. She was like, how interesting, and then she shared her personal link to this exhibit and what Musea's doing. So that was really cool to see how our work was really connecting with the followers. And I'm going to switch it over to Leanne to talk about the Instagram portion of our campaign.
Okay, so prior to the start of our campaign, in our proposal, we initially wanted to change the theme of their Instagram a little bit because we realized Instagram is more of a host for beautiful pictures. That's what we wanted to cater to for the Instagram community. So what we did, we wanted to create more non-time sensitive posts. Just go out, take pictures, edit them, and then just present it to them so they can continually post them at their discretion. But then we did have a progress check meeting with them halfway through the semester. They expressed to us that although these pictures are very beautiful and they would like to post these types of things on their Instagram, they want to link everything to things that are currently happening. Because if they're continually pushing out content that isn't really related to anything, it does give the impression that they just have a lot of posts lined up and they're not really caring about what they're posting, just the fact that they are posting. So after that, we went out, we took a bunch more pictures. These do tie into time-sensitive things, like for example, the one on the right, that's the Anaheim Packing House. The holiday decorations are up, so we decided to link that to a holiday night market that was going on. So because the content in the picture is able to link to the content in the caption, that's more of the stuff that they're looking for. And then now I'm going to pass it on to Maya to speak about just overall campaign successes.
Thank you. For successes, we were able to effectively execute all of our 3 main objectives, which are the Anaheim Magazine, the social media posts, and the social media survey. In the initial proposal, we did mention to our client that we were going to give them recommendations and suggestions for the future. So one of them is to promote the Anaheim Magazine on their social medias to create further awareness. The second one would be if the client was interested in carrying out the Anaheim Magazine survey on a larger scale, that they would have to ask more in-depth questions to gain better insight. And another recommendation for the social media specifically is for the social media survey, they could create a survey on SurveyMonkey because that's really easy, and disseminate it through their social medias too because that's where their followers are. And last but not least, for their Facebook and Instagram, for the Facebook platform, we recommend our clients to continue the Anaheim Fun Facts series because it has shown some success. As for Instagram, we suggest our clients to give clear guidelines for the future Pratt team about what type of content and they would like to see and produce. And now I'm going to pass it to Layla to conclude the presentation.
So in conclusion, we would like to thank Professor Evano and Dr. Swanson for the opportunity to embark on this journey. We have gained professional experience and it's going to help us further develop our career in the future, and I would like to thank all of you for being here and for your attention.